Want to make sure everyone can get in here before we really get started. Not the outcome you wanted. Not the outcome you wanted at all. But that's where you got left with. It's disappointing, to say the least. Right here. Taking your calls and text at 877-377-6963. Here's how we're going to do this. When you call in, I don't have anyone with me, so it's just me. You got to tell me who it is when it starts. We'll start with the first caller. Again, I don't know who it is. Hey, you're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
It's William in Jonesboro.
Hey, William, what's going on today, man? Sorry about the.
Oh, man.
That's not the ending we wanted, dude.
No, it's not, man. But hey, guess what? Losses happen.
It happens, man. You're exactly right.
The biggest thing about it is that this team never gave up. The team never quit. They were down 42-24, and they came back and they scored. They made it a ball game, even though it was over by that point. They made it a ball game. They never gave up. Yeah. You got to just keep looking forward. I mean, the team's up and up.
Yeah, they are definitely moving up as far as that goes, William. I think that this was kind of a check-me game when you look at this football team. I had expectations that they were going to win. I don't know what you predicted prior to this game.
I'm gonna have to go against you, Ty. I did not expect them to win this game.
Well, you know
the only reason why is because Texas A&M's offensive line did exactly what they did tonight. They kept Kellen Mond clean.
They
manhandled
the line of scrimmage, and that was the rhetoric that Clay continuously reminded us throughout the morning rush this week is the Texas A&M offensive line, the Texas A&M offensive line. Well, William, we saw exactly what that Texas A&M offensive line did to the Razorbacks tonight.
They were great. You cannot deny that team right there, if you look at their schedule, has the potential to win out the rest of the season. And if you look at Arkansas, there's winnable games still on our schedule, and it just keeps getting better and better with LSU lost today.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's positive. I mean, you can't talk about moral victories. This is not a moral victory because there is no more moral victories after we got the Mississippi State and Ole Miss win. But it is a learning experience for these guys now because they have the taste of winning. They've just got to continue to get better week for week. This game right here, Texas A&M just dominated the whole game, and that's what they were supposed to do, and they did it. Texas A&M is a real good team. The only loss I see them having this year is Bama, and they've already had that loss. So, I mean, you got to look at it that way.
Well, William, we appreciate the call, man. Thanks for joining Hog Reaction.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And you can take, again, your calls and text at 877-377-6963. It's just me in here, so I kind of got to go through them quick. So when I pop you in, make sure you're ready to fire away with your take. And we got a lot of reactions also on our social media. We're not live on radio. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. So any social media reactions you want to comment on, I'll make sure to get to those. But William brings up an excellent point. It was just the offensive line for A&M. And Michael comments, Mark Curls shafted us again. Mark Curls was not the difference maker in this game tonight. He was in 2009. No arguments there. Michael, Mark Curls, the official for tonight's game, was not the reason you lost to Texas A&M. They dominated the line of scrimmage, not just on the offensive side, but there were several times on the defensive side that they just manhandled the Arkansas offensive line. But I will say this, Arkansas's offense looked pretty solid tonight. A fantastic opening drive to get them in the end zone. You got to give Kendall credit and the offensive line credit because that's what we said during the Arkansas game today. It has to get tiring for the offensive line to continually be bashed, not only by the outside college football world, but by their own fan base. Well, they delivered a lot better performance today. Hopefully that can be used as a building block. They had over 200 rushing yards, but Kellen Mond was the difference tonight. Got a text out of the 870. He said Mond really impressed him tonight. A&M looked like a legit top 10 team to be. And I said constantly throughout the week, and I wasn't the only one, so don't just put this on me, Kellen Mond wasn't going to beat you. Well, he did beat you, and the offensive line beat you tonight. All right, back to the phone lines. Who we got on Hog Reaction? Who's this? Hey, you're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
This is Zach from Paragould.
Hey, Zach, what's up, man?
Well, I gotta say, when I called in earlier, that I was a little wrong about Kellen Mond.
We both were, man. You weren't the only one. I said the exact same thing. That is a different Kellen Mond than you've seen the past 3 years, and I think him playing at home definitely helped him.
Man, it is. I hate Texas A&M, but I will give it to Kellen Mond and Jimbo Fisher. They looked good tonight. They really did. But I have to say, Arkansas ran the ball tonight, and they ran it fairly damn well, if I might say myself.
No, I mean, Zach, you're 100% right. I mean, they finished with I'm about to pull up the stats. They finished with over 200 rushing yards tonight. I would say that's quite impressive for a Texas A&M front. Just to put this in example, you had over 90 yards in the first quarter. Zach, they give up like 75 rushing yards a game, and that shows you what Arkansas was able to do offensively running the football. They just weren't able to finish in certain situations, while Texas A&M just continuously carved you up throughout the entire game.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we could not execute from the offensive line and defensive line point. I thought Felipe was kind of second guessing. Maybe receivers weren't open down the field, and that's kind of what I've seen all year. He just kind of stands there, but I mean, better than giving up the interception, I suppose. I wish it had come out different, but I'm glad to see the rushing game get going.
I would say, Zach, what has irritated me, and I thought Felipe, I mean, you look at his statistics tonight, man. He was on the dot, 23 of 31, 239, 3 touchdowns. He was pretty accurate throughout the whole night. I've just gotten a little frustrated with him not throwing the ball away and taking a sack. Now, I get he's trying to extend plays, but I think he has to just, at times, it's very difficult. I mean, we know how difficult playing the quarterback position is, but I feel like at times, Zach, he just doesn't throw the ball away, and that's irritating me. It probably irritates you as well.
Yeah, exactly. I know it. All right, well, good talking to you.
Hey, Zach, I appreciate you calling in, man. Yep, love to have you next one. Again, Arkansas, Tennessee, 6:30. Because the Razorbacks lost, that will probably be, again, the SEC Network game. If they would have won tonight, you would have gotten the captivating ESPN game with Todd Blackledge and Sean McDonough. But unfortunately, we know what happened tonight as the Arkansas Razorbacks fall 42-31 in College Station in a game where Texas A&M offensively just blew the doors off the Razorback defense. And I thought you saw not only the defensive line get exposed a little bit, you also saw the secondary for Arkansas get exposed a little bit. They weren't getting any pressure whatsoever on Kellen Mond. When I left, they hadn't had a sack. I believe they didn't finish with a single sack in that game, and Texas A&M had 4 or 5. That's kind of what you're dealing with. Greg and Fort Smith text in. Again, your calls, your text, 877-377-6963 here on Hog Reaction. I'm going to be doing this until we stop getting texts and calls. There's no time limit on this. Last time we won, I went for 2 hours and 15 minutes. This is going to be much shorter tonight. Greg and Fort Smith text in. He says, nothing to be ashamed of tonight. We played great. Greg, I don't think you played great. I think your offense showed that they are more capable than they've shown at other points this season, but defensively you looked really bad, and you looked like a not just middle-tier SEC defense, you looked like a bottom-tier SEC defense. And, again, it's a top 10 team. We have to kind of come back into focus a little bit. It's a top 10 opponent on the road. And I know that you played A&M really close, and you still kept it at bay. Arkansas covered. Ding, 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 whoever bet on that. My buddy Billy's texted me. He's pretty happy about that because he won some money on Arkansas tonight just because they covered. So while you may have bet on the Hogs money line that lost, if you bet on the Hogs to cover, they were able to get it done. So I guess I'll turn my volume up. I don't know why the sound's so low on this for whatever reason. Is that better, fellas? Is that better? Got the volume all the way up. Crank it up here as well. I think we're good now. I think we're good. Let me know if y'all can hear me. If it's better than that. I've turned myself all the way up on this volume. I think it's just this micro that's a little a little softer, but just commenting about that. Make sure I do. Just the sound. Is that better? That's perfect. Okay, cool. All right, I just want to make sure. Yeah, I turned the sound all the way up, and I'll turn the phone line up as well as far as that goes. But again, your calls and texts, 877-377-6963. Traylon Burks had himself a fantastic game tonight. My goodness gracious. He finished tonight 117 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaged 17 yards per reception. You got to keep getting the ball, and Kendall has made that a priority when it comes to that. So I think when it comes to just overall the game, you just really liked what Kendall had on offense at segments tonight. And you hope that continues where you see production with this offense, because I think you saw at some points tonight. Again, the deal with this is tonight, Hog Reaction, we're live on Twitter, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and we are live on Twitch as well. I'm going to be doing this as long as we keep getting calls and texts. That's it. And as long as we keep getting calls and texts, I will continue to unpack the 42-31 loss to the Texas A&M Aggies. It started out really great. Texas A&M didn't have a 3-and-out, but you stopped them, I think, on their second attempt to trying to get a first down. And then you marched down a good chunk of yardage and took it to the house on them. And that was so odd because you went 12 plays, 87 yards in a little less than 5 minutes, and the Arkansas offense has struggled mightily. And for them to do what they did to start the game, you thought to yourself, man, is this how it's going to be the game in its entirety? There were points where Arkansas's offense looked really good tonight, but Texas A&M just had too many weapons. I know we were making fun of Anaya Smith earlier this week, but him and both Isaiah Spiller were unbelievable. And again, you got to give credit to the offensive line for Texas A&M. They brought it. They brought it. Alan texted in via YouTube. He says, A&M is legit, unfortunately. I think they showed you tonight that that's a really good football team worthy of their top 10 ranking as far as that goes. So that's something, again, we will monitor to see if Texas A&M, I made the statement several times this week, the winner of tonight's game has declared itself the second best team in the SEC West. Well, now that's going to get pushed back to when Texas A&M travels to Auburn to take on the Tigers when they got an emphatic win over the LSU Tigers in the Tiger Bowl later today. So that's something to keep an eye on. Doug texts in. He says, I need a beer. We drink in wins or losses. What's the phrase? Win or lose, we booze. Isn't that what Hog fans say? I think it's not just Hog fans, but college football fans across the country. Dwight in Fort Smith texts in. He says, just went on our defense to get a couple of takeaways. Yeah, if you go back in that game, Grant Morgan had an interception opportunity, but outside of that, Kellen Mond really didn't throw a ball that was close to being picked off. He was very accurate in tonight's game. And again, you got to give him credit. Give credit to where credit is due. Kellen Mond deserves a lot of credit for tonight's performance. Not only him, the game plan that Jimbo Fisher compiled together, and the Texas A&M offensive line. A great job on their part to keep the Hogs defense at bay, because they just, again, I mentioned this earlier, they manhandled the line of scrimmage, and Arkansas wasn't doing much as far as that goes. What else stood out to you? What else stood out to you about this game in the 42-31 loss, 8-7-7, 3-7-7, 6-9, 6-3? What about the 2 missed field goals from A.J. Reed? Now, you ended up losing the game by 11. That would have cut it to another score, so that would have been if you would have made the 2. And I think it was, a 49 and 48 that A.J. missed, if I remember that correctly. So, let's see. I'm going to double-check on this real quick. I'm on ESPN.com looking at it. Yeah, A.J. missed a 49-yard field goal, and I want to say the other one was a 48-yard field goal, if I remember that correctly. So, not the outcomes you want. Yeah, 49 and 48 for A.J. Reed is what he missed tonight. That's not good enough. You got to be able to convert. And this was, again, a heralded kicker out of Duke. You're really excited about him as a grad transfer, and he has not been the same guy as a Connor Limpert, as a Zach Hawker, and some of the better place kickers you have. You hope that he can improve, because Arkansas is going to be in some tight ball games coming up these next couple weeks. They could be very well in one next week when Tennessee comes to Fayetteville for the 6:30 matchup. I think that game is going to be very, very close. Arkansas needs every advantage, and special teams is definitely one that we've hit on several times and it's just not been up to standards. And really the expectation was, man, Scott Fountain's going to have this ship. And listen, Scott Fountain's in his first year. He's doesn't necessarily have a ton to work with, but you hope that they can improve as far as that goes. I think it's Ryan asked me about it. He's in Monticello asking about A.J. Reed's missed field goals, what I think about it. One just looked awful. The other one, he just hooked left. I don't know if it's hooked left or pulled it left. I know there's two different terms you use when it comes to field goal kicking. One looked really bad, Ryan. The other, he just missed by a little bit. Jason texted in. He said the SEC Network said this was the closest game of the day. I didn't hear that from Gene Chizik, Dari Noka, and Chris Doreen, but that doesn't mean it wasn't said. I was watching. We were listening to music while we were watching the game and just watching it. And I'm not a huge fan of the play-by-play tonight. I would much rather listen to Chuck and Quinn because they do a much better job, and it's fun to hear basically two Razorbacks. I don't know if Chuck went to school there or not, but he's a Razorback through and through. We all know that. Again, your calls and texts, 877-377-6963. We're live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. And we are live on Twitter reacting to Arkansas's 42-31 loss over the Texas A&M Aggies. The streak is now extended to 9 games. And you really felt confident, a lot of you did, that the streak was going to end. And yet, Kellen Mond just came to play. I cannot give him enough credit for his performance. 21 for 26, 260 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And a lot of Arkansas fans are just as surprised to see that. Brian texted in, he says they didn't quit, they showed grit. He's proud, woo, pig, suey. You would have loved a different outcome tonight, but I will agree with you, Brian. It seems like Arkansas didn't quit as far as that is concerned. We've only had 2 calls so far tonight, Nell. You're telling me only 2 of you want to voice your opinion on what the game tonight? Listen, you can't just call in if Arkansas wins. Calling in, what went wrong tonight, in your opinion? You could say the easy answer, which was the defensive line getting pushed around. Maybe there was another area of the game that you think that Arkansas should have been better at. 877-377-6963. I'm only doing this as long as we continue to have audience interaction. That's why I'm doing this. I didn't have to do this. Tommy was surprised I was doing this, but I wanted to do this, obviously, for you guys' sake, so you could voice your opinion as far as that. And an opinion that I held earlier, and I brought up earlier, Benjamin, since this in via YouTube, he says, where did it know? Chris sent it in. Franks holds on to the ball too long. Yeah, I think there were a couple occasions, Chris, where he did hold on the ball too long. He's just got to learn to throw the ball away, because there were several times I think he was either sacked or that he didn't make a play. He held it too long, so which was very tough, very difficult, and whatnot. So I think that it's just it's a tough situation for. I mean, but look at Felipe's stat. He finished 23 for 31, 239 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I don't believe. I'm trying to think. Was there a turnover in that game? I'm trying to look. No, there wasn't. It's a pretty clean game. Texas A&M had 9 penalties for 100 yards. Arkansas finished 5 for 51. I know when someone brought up earlier that Mark Curls was the reason you lost. Mark Curls was not the reason you lost. And I was frustrated. Jalen Catalon gets ejected. It was a warranted ejected based on the rule. If you go back and look at it, I actually looked up the rule to make sure, and it was exactly that. I know it's frustrating because he was one of your best. He is one, if not your best defensive player, and he was clearly missed tonight based on his lack of production at the safety position. I think with him, though, it's just so tough because he's so small, and he has to make a decision in the blink of an eye. And it's not just him, it's others. That rule should be changed. I was glad to see that players were allowed to remain on the field to watch their team, not be commanded back to the locker room. But there needs to be a 15-yard penalty and then a warning. The next one should warrant an ejection. It's not fair to the kids that they put one effort, and then in just a split instant, they make a mistake unwillingly a lot of times, and they get tossed for that. That's dumb. That is absolutely stupid, and it needs to be changed. Again, not disagreeing with Mark Curls and the replay officials ruling. I'm disagreeing with the rule itself, and it needs to be changed as far as that goes. It was really frustrating to watch, but it is what it is. You're not going to get an argument with me. There was one, I think I was frustrated with probably actually 2 calls. One, it looked like Grant Morgan was clearly just grabbed on a toss play. This was in the 4th quarter. I think it wasn't, maybe it was the 3rd, but it wasn't life-altering or game-changing. And then the other play was, it looked like, I don't remember if it was Anaya Smith or if it was Isaiah Spiller, but one of the guys looked down at the goal line. They called it down. Replay told him, hey, you need to take a look at this. And you can see the ball. You can't really see the ball. What Tommy always uses is the indisputable evidence. Indisputable evidence. There was not indisputable evidence that he had crossed the goal line. It was a very weird, awkward situation. I think he was on top of either Joe Fouché or Simeon Blair, and he crossed the end zone. It was like his body crossed the end zone, but his ball was behind it. It didn't look indisputable to me, but that was where the replay official went with. I can't say Mark Curls because Mark Curls obviously didn't make that call. Zach from Paragold texted and he says the up-tempo was on point tonight. He says he believes that Catalan had a big impact in being ejected. Yeah, you could clearly see it. I mean, the defense wasn't doing a lot even with him in there, but he's one of the best players on your roster. So if one of the best players on your roster can't play, it's obviously going to have an impact, especially on a defense that got just creamed tonight as far as that goes. Still taking your calls, still taking your text, 877-377-6963 as we're reacting to Arkansas's 42-31 loss. Listen, if we don't get another call soon, I'm gonna call curtains on this because I don't know how many more of you want to talk with Loss. Again, we'll unpack a lot more of this on the Morning Rush, which you can listen from 6 to 9 a.m. weekdays, ESPN Arkansas, hitthatline.com. What's under the ESPN Arkansas umbrella is ESPN 95.3 Fort Smith, the River Valley, 104.3, which is like the Harrison Mountain home area, 96.3 Hot Springs, Central Arkansas, 99.5 Northwest Arkansas, 1290 as well, and then 97.1 in Camden, South Arkansas. We're always on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch like we are now. Tom in Fort Worth texted. He says, the loss today is not a shocker. He said that we would have to have double the sacks A&M if we had a chance. And the D-line played hard, but they got out. Man, Sam Pittman said they're not at the weight they need to be at, so that needs to be improved. All right, back to the phone lines, 877-377-6963. You're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
This is Jason. How you doing,
Hey,
Ty?
Jason, what's going
I like
on, man?
that outfit. That's pretty funny.
I appreciate it. It is Ted from the movie Ted. It's got the
Thunder. Thunder Buddies, man.
Yes, sir.
Bet you're burning up in that thing.
Dude, it's hot, man. The studio's pretty hot in here, so I'm sweating a little bit. And I was sweating during the game, too, so it's a combination.
I bet you was. There's a few things they could have done different, but how much you think of a difference it made that stadium was full of people yelling for Texas A&M? They're used to playing places that are pretty empty because of COVID. Then they go to a place just packed with people hollering.
Yeah, here's what I said, because I know I disagreed with Ruskin and Orange's take earlier this week that they said it was a nothing burger, it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Well, it matters to the Arkansas offense when they're trying to communicate, and it's a lot easier to do with crowds of 20-something thousand rather than 50. And I don't know, to be honest, I don't know how many fans were there in Kyle Field tonight. I can't give you an accurate measurement. I don't know if that's been announced yet, but it sure looked like a lot more than 27,000. But again, my eyes fool me all the time, man.
Yeah, it's tough on a new team, trying to still learn everything, get everything down, and just not used to that yet. Just all of a sudden get hammered with it,
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So maybe, and I know they were practicing with sound this week, but it is what it is.
Nothing can, give you that real feel, the real thing.
Exactly.
The real thing,
Jason, you could not be more on the money with that statement, man.
Well, I appreciate you taking the call and putting on a show for everybody.
Absolutely, man. Hey, happy to do it, even on Halloween night. Jason, enjoy yours, man.
You too, man. Happy Halloween.
All right, keeping the calls going back to the phone lines. You're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
Hello?
Yeah, who's this?
This is Shane in Bentonville.
Hey, Shane. Go ahead, man.
Hey. I think the team's doing a lot better than the last, probably 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think there's a couple of things. I don't know if the pressure of starting got to Hudson Clark a little bit. Because there's a couple of times he just played soft, cushion-wise.
Listen, Shane, and I love Hudson Clark as much as the next guy, but he got exposed a little bit tonight. It wasn't just Hudson.
No.
But that corner route that Weidemeyer ran, where he just got mossed in the back of the end zone.
Yep.
That was just it was hard to watch. And again, I don't want to point and pinpoint all the blame on
Oh,
Hudson,
no.
because a lot of the secondary got torched tonight. But this was a game. It just seems like that they were picking on him a little bit, especially in third and long situations.
Yeah, I mean, they did a lot better, with me. To me, this season, if we got one SEC win this season, I said it was a great deal just in the last 3 years, I mean, they've been competitive in every game so far, even in the Georgia game until the very, this midway through the third and fourth quarter. I mean, I'm happy with the way Pittman's doing it and everything, and Odom. I mean, honestly, I'd hate to be a defensive player at practice on Monday.
Yeah.
Because Odom doesn't seem like I don't think it's going to go good. But, it is what it is. They did good. But, I mean, is that spike in the end zone, isn't that a penalty in college?
Yeah, I was surprised that wasn't called. That was another. I got a gripe with two penalties, but I don't remember if it was Spiller or Anaya Smith. But one of them, it might have been that freshman that came in. One of them just spiked it blatantly. That's a penalty. Like,
I was
what are you doing? Everyone in the stadium saw that.
Yeah, I was like, really? I mean, come on now.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, thanks, and I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
And, go Hogs.
Shane, absolutely. Yeah, listen, it's a bummer they lost tonight, but there were a lot of good things that you could take out of tonight's game. All right, back to the phone lines. Welcome in. I don't know who this is. You're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
This is Spud from Fayetteville.
What's your name, man?
Spud from Fayetteville.
Go ahead.
I don't know. What else can we do? It's just I just didn't want to leave you hanging, Ty. I just don't know.
Yeah.
On to the next one, ain't it?
Listen, you got Tennessee, and I know it's doom and gloom right now. And following a loss, 9 straight losses, over 3,300 days, there's more negatives that you can point out than positives. But you get a Tennessee team coming into your house this next weekend that is a very winnable game. This team has yet to show that they'll play lackluster or they'll fall apart following a loss or a win. I think Sam Pittman is going to have his guys geared up ready to play against the Volunteers this next week.
Yeah, and how many times have we done overtimes with Tennessee also?
A lot.
Throughout the games.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised, a little Garantano, Felipe Franks OT. I could see it, man.
Yeah, it's a definite.
Yeah.
Go Hogs. Never give up.
Hey, yeah, that's the spirit. Go Hogs. All right, next caller. Who's this? You're on Hog Reaction.
This is PA.
Hey, PA, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, just got a couple of things I'd like to say.
Airway,
if you don't mind. Well, their offensive line obviously was dominant. I mean, we couldn't make a dent in that in any shape, form, or fashion. They were just bigger and better than our defensive line. We couldn't get penetration even when we blitzed. They picked it up and kept a clean pocket for Mond. And there's really nothing you can do about that. I mean, when you have a superior offensive line, I mean, you can't crack that nut. And if you can't crack that nut, it's just not be able to get the goodie inside. And we don't have good enough players yet on the defensive line. They're trying hard, don't get me wrong. And I appreciate their effort, and I appreciate what they've done thus far. But we have one legitimate SEC defensive line, and that's number 42.
Mr.
Other than that, he's good. He's very good. But all they did was double team him and single teamed everybody else, and they kept pocket clean as a whistle. And there's really not much you can do about that because you can't guard that long out there. The DBs can't guard that long. See him standing back there and wait 10 like we used to do on the playground. Wait 10 seconds until you rush, and then you rush. I mean, you can't guard somebody like that. I mean, it's just Plus, they had good wide receivers, good running backs. They just were a better team, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
And the other thing I was trying to say, I wanted to say was they hold 80% of the time, and that's a legitimate guess. And because and we should do that because the refs are not going to call it every time. They're going to call it once or twice, and they're not going to keep calling it, because it just slows the game down. And that head coach, whatever his name, Jimbo Fishehead or whatever his name is, Fishehead. And, he knows that. He's smart enough to know that. And so they grab and they push and they grab from behind. I saw a couple of guys get tackled, and, that didn't lose us the game. That did not lose us the game either. You just got to have good enough players to overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
But the one saving grace for the night, because I know Aggies, I take two cousins that graduate from A&M, and they love to gamble on the Aggies. So I know there's a bunch of them out there that took that 12 points. And that last touchdown cut them. And cut them deep. And the Hogs covered the point spread.
Yep, they did.
And,
good teams win, great teams cover, PA.
Well, I tell you what, it's a small consolation, but it is a consolation to know that their pocketbooks are just a little bit smaller out there.
Yeah.
Take care, Ty. Have a good night, buddy.
PA, always love hearing from you. All right, back to the phone lines. Next person on Hog Reaction. Who's this? Hey, you're on Hog Reaction. Who's this? All right. Next caller. You're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
Hey, this is Jamie.
Hey, Jamie. Where you calling from, buddy?
Mountain Home, Arkansas.
Mountain Home, Arkansas, brother. All right, what you got tonight?
Hey, man, just a couple of observations. I think we got, a little bit out physical tonight. I think we got a little exposed there. And really the red zone killed us. You look at our delays in the red zone.
Yep.
Had moving the ball, and maybe some questionable calling by Bryles.
Jamie, can you explain to me what Kendall Bryles' fascination is with running trick plays in the red zone? Can someone explain that to me?
We're moving the ball, and you sitting there first and goal, or right there around the 10, 15-yard line, and you're trying some kind of reverse or whatever, fake reverse, and it's just too much. I think I'm not saying dumb it down, but just in my opinion, and I don't want to second guess him. And obviously leaps and bounds, we're growing, things are looking good.
Yeah.
Definitely not down about this, but if you look at those three possessions there in the first half, where we really came away with nothing, it could have been a different ball game, honestly. But at the same time, we got exposed a little bit. But overall, can't be too disappointed. I think we're definitely got a lot of fight, and I think we're definitely headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Jamie, we appreciate your call here on Hog Reaction. Again, you can call in 877-377-6963. We got to remember, top 10 team on the road, hostile environment. I know there was 100-something thousand in Kyle Field, but that's still a tough place to play. And they're going to say, we had 27. They didn't have 27. They had much more than that. Just look at the pictures, y'all. That's all you got to do. And I think there's elements, again, positives you could take out, but it's just – it came down to the line of scrimmage tonight, and A&M dominated you in that area. Chuck said after the game, I heard him say, I don't know if I necessarily want to use the word dominated like the entire game, because there were times Arkansas stood strong, but there were a lot of points in that football game where the Texas A&M offensive line just manhandled the Arkansas defensive line, and it was tough to watch. Again, taking your calls, taking your texts, not doing this much longer. If we're not getting much call, we've got a bunch of call volume that we just rang in. I will do this as long as we keep getting calls, text, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch comments. Again, we are reacting to the Arkansas 42-31 loss to the Texas A&M Aggies here on Hog Reaction. All right, that got some people going. All right, you're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
Hey, this is William Oliver from Bill Vista.
And what'd you say your first name was, man?
Billy Oliver
Hey,
from Bella
Billy.
Vista.
Billy from Bella Vista. Go ahead, man. Yeah, Billy, go ahead.
I just think the Hogs played good tonight.
I don't know, Billy. I don't know how you're listening, but turn that other sound off so you can.
Turn it down. So
Yeah, there you go.
that's all.
That's okay. Go ahead.
That's what I said there. I just think the Hogs played good tonight. They played hard. Oh my God.
Technology, man. It's okay. Here, we'll
Yeah.
come, Billy. We'll come back to
You hear
you.
me?
We'll come back to you. Just to, Billy, stay with us. We'll come back to you. All right, next caller, Hog Reaction. Who's this?
Hello?
Yeah, who's this?
This is Leon.
Hey,
from
Leon.
Sherwood, Arkansas.
And where did you say you're calling from, buddy?
Sherwood.
Sherwood. All right, Leon, what did you think of
Arkansas.
the game tonight?
I thought the guys had no quit in them. They played hard. I still have a couple questions about the offense. That's some other things about that, but I thought they did a great job personally. I'm proud of them. They just didn't quit. I think they're a little bit outmatched by Texas A&M experience and depth, and just a little better athletes, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still not sure about the play calling. I don't understand the wide stuff that they do, or we got going, and he'll throw something that doesn't make sense to me. I'm just baffled. I don't even understand why. I don't even know why they can't throw to wideouts other than Burke or maybe Morris. It just doesn't make sense to me why they're not getting enough separation where he can get him a pass. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
So,
I would, Leon, to your point about the play calling, there's been some weird stuff that I think Kendall Briles is trying the red zone, trick plays that I don't necessarily agree with. And, again, my offensive acumen, he has more offensive acumen from a football standpoint than a pinky finger than I do in my whole body. But I think it's difficult for a lot of fans to understand is how far behind the offensive line is and how difficult it is in this league to put up points with a lackluster offensive line. And listen, I'll give the Arkansas offensive line credit, Leon. They gave Arkansas a chance to win tonight. Unfortunately, for the first time this season, the defense was kind of the Achilles heel of tonight's loss.
well, look, they're up against better talent. Got better offensive line. Their backs were excellent. I mean, they were some of the best backs I've seen in a while.
Yep.
And they were just making us miss, and that's just pure talent. And I just think that the team's got a lot. I just tell you what I think. I think we're going to go maybe 5-5. Yeah. I think probably you can look out that next year, and I hate to say next year, but that's really what it's all about. We'll get better talent. We'll do better with all the way around. Get these kids back to be better, stronger next year. I think this team is going to be a lot better next year than most people think. And I think I'm real proud of everybody. And I'm proud of the coaches. I'm proud of the kids. Hate to lose, but, you got to be realistic,
Yeah. No, and Leon, appreciate your call tonight, man. You have a great rest of your night. I think this was one of the more rational callers that we've taken tonight and listen, we've got a bunch of, but I think he pointed out, like, you got to realize where this team is. You go back to last year, you wanted to get through a half. Now you're almost expecting this team to go on the road and beat a top 10 team. That is the impact of Sam Pittman. I got to figure out Sam's middle name so I can use that for more of a dramatic effect. All right, let's go back to Billy and Bella Vista. Billy, did you get your sound fixed, buddy?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
I think so.
What you got for us tonight?
So I think the Hogs should, get better on defense again and better on offense. I think they look good tonight. That's all I want to say.
All right, well,
I think we're positive, all positives.
Yeah, and I appreciate your call tonight, Billy. I think there are some positives that you can take out of this game. Again, if you would have told me that Arkansas, I heard Quinn say this after the broadcast, and I completely agree, Arkansas finished, y'all, with 222 rushing yards tonight. If you would have told me that was their final statistic for rushing yards at the end of the game, I would have told you Arkansas would have broken the streak, but they didn't. If you would have told me Felipe Franks, no interceptions, 3 touchdowns, along with that rushing yards, I would have said Arkansas curtains. They won. It was the defense that really just didn't help you out tonight. Back to the phone lines, welcoming in another guest. Who's this? You're on Hog Reaction. Hey, you're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
This is Cody.
Hey, Cody, where are you calling from, buddy?
Hardy, Arkansas.
Hardy, Arkansas. Go ahead, Cody.
I think the Hogs played really, really good tonight. I just think that they need to work on their defense a little bit. I mean, their defense has been strong the last couple games.
Yeah.
But I think the offensive line needs to get a little bigger.
Oh, you're absolutely. That's Sam Pittman, Cody, has said that several times. They got to get bigger. If you want to compete in this league, you got to be big up front on both sides of the football.
Yeah. And I liked how they got Traylon Burks involved in the game a lot more. I mean, he's our star player on the offensive side. I don't know what the deal is with Trey Knox. I'd like to see him get going a little bit.
Yeah, Cody, Trey's just not getting much playing time right now, unfortunately. He hasn't shown the ability that he's been able to get open in a lot of these games, which has caused Stepp and Pittman and Bryles to put another guy like Davion Warren starting in front of it. But, I mean, he's my favorite wide receiver of this unit, so I want him to succeed. He just hadn't played that great as of late.
Yeah. So, what do you think the score prediction for next week, Tennessee versus Arkansas, or is it a little too early?
No, it's not too early. In fact, I'm probably going to get a text from Clay Henry quite soon that he's going to want it for his magazine. Clay is gracious and kind enough to allow me to be a celebrity. I don't know, I guess a media, not a celebrity, media guest picker for Hogs Illustrated. So I actually need to. In fact, I need to text him that right now. What I think, Cody. Let me go off you, man. What do you think is going to be the score when the Vols travel to Fayetteville next weekend?
I'm probably going to say 34-21 Arkansas.
Okay.
I think Rakeem Boyd's going to have a big week next week. I think if they can get that run game going and open up the play action a little bit. I mean, they did that against the Aggies tonight, but the Aggies were just too big of a team. I mean, there's a lot of people saying they look like a national championship team because their offensive line's so big and their defensive line. I mean, they're just so massive on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, man, Cody, it's really difficult when you're playing guys that have 30, 40 pounds on you. And I can't give you the exact measurements and statistics, but I know Texas A&M had a lot of weight on both sides of the football compared to what Arkansas put out on the field tonight.
Yeah, yes, sir. And I think I have a feeling. I mean, I think we have a chance to win out. I got a lot of faith in this team. As soon as Sam Pittman got hired, I mean, I knew he was the guy for the job. And he's showing everybody what he's capable of.
Yeah, Sam Pittman definitely has. And, Cody, we appreciate your call tonight, buddy. I was one of the guys that, listen, there's still question marks. You really like what Sam Pittman has done so far in his tenure, but like everyone else when it comes to coaching, you always have question marks. And there's still question marks surrounding Sam Pittman. You have absolutely loved what he's done to this point. I've loved what he's done to this point. I've loved him coming on our radio station. I loved the camaraderie he has seemed to influence not only the staff but the football team. We'll see what happens in Fayetteville when Tennessee comes to town. Back to the phone lines. You're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
Hello?
Hey, who's this?
This is Tom from Fort Worth.
Hey, Tom. Go ahead, man. You're on Hog Reaction.
All right. So we're still 5-0 against the spread, as far as I can tell.
Let's go.
Offense has improved. I feel like that we're doing a lot better than we were doing at the beginning of the year. Franks looked like a doormat, after the game, and whatever. But
I think we're in good shape. I think we're on the right track. I think that we got to get bigger on both sides of the ball, and I think we'll get there.
I think you're exactly right, man, Tom. And I don't know if I don't know what when you say get there, what does that mean in your own words?
To me, it means we're going to be competitive in every game. Maybe not this year, maybe not for every game for the rest of this year, but I think beginning of next year, people are going to be threatened, and they're going to be against the wall, and we're going to be in position to win some games.
And I think they will be in position to win some games. Do you think they beat Tennessee next weekend, Tom?
I hope so. I think we do. I think we're going to bounce back after this week. I think it was an eye-opener. I think we got in a little bit of trouble after a week off, and I think we come back next week and we get a win.
We'll see what happens. Tom, we appreciate your call. Thanks for listening to Hog Reaction, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Always love hearing from our Dallas listeners, our Little Rock listeners, our Northeast Arkansas listeners, all our listeners. And, again, you can call in 877-377-6963. We're going to continue on the talk here on Hog Reaction as long as you call in. It is now 11 o'clock. Last time I went till about 12:30 or so. Not doing that tonight, I'll tell you that much. But we're about 45-ish minutes in, I'd say, of Hog Reaction. So, again, taking your calls. We will do this as long as I keep getting calls and texts reacting to what happened in the loss tonight. 42-31 going to the Texas A&M Aggies. Larry texted in. He says, Ty, do you think this helped answer recruits' questions about the state of the Hogs? Well, Larry lost, unfortunately, and the defense didn't look good. But, I mean, Sam Pittman has shown this football team is headed on the right track, and that always helps recruiting when there's at least a projection of a better outcome, projection of future years being better. And I think that he's shown that not only through the wins but in the losses as well. Now, from a defensive side of the football, there's not a lot of good things you can take out of tonight's matchup, but a lot of things you can take out offensively that you're happy about tonight. Excuse me. Oh, man. Sorry, it's just me, so there's no, mute button or whatever. Again, 877-377-6963. I'm getting a little sleepy, y'all, so maybe it's time for me to turn in as far as that goes. So, but, again, yeah, Jason texted in. Where's Eddie? Eddie was texting me near the game. I think he's sad. I don't know if he will call in. But, again, we are taking your calls all throughout the program. Hog Reaction, 877-377-6963. I'm going to start doing what I did last week. We're getting close to about an hour of the program. So I'm going to count down. I'll start from 30 seconds. If we don't get a call in the next 30 seconds at 877-377-6963, the program is over. So you might have to be one that calls in. 877. Oh, and there we go. That's how you get him in. All right. Next caller on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Brent Thompson.
Hey, Brent, where you calling from, buddy?
I'm calling from Clarksburg, West Virginia.
Clarksburg, West Virginia. Man, I don't think we've had anyone from West Virginia. Congrats on that. You're the first one.
Okay. Well, hey, I just want to say the Hogs played a good game, but, we got a good look into our future looking at Texas A&M with the bigger offensive line and bigger defensive line. This is what the Hogs are going to look like in the future. And you have to admit, Kevin Mon, all the players in Texas A&M, they were really hot tonight. They were playing at home. They had the boost that you hadn't seen in the last couple of games that they've had. So I think the Hogs did pretty good. We need a little bit better run stoppers. We need a little bit more athleticism on the offensive side of the ball and a bigger offensive line, and all that'll come in time. You can't ask Sam Pittman to do any more than what he's doing right now, just to recruit, to keep on looking to the future.
Yeah, Brent, I mean, you made some excellent points, man. I think Sam Pittman has done a lot of good things that Razorback fans are happy about. Again, you just got to get bigger, and you got to get more players.
Right.
There's just a certain time you're just going to get outmanned and outgunned, and that's what you saw tonight, unfortunately. So,
yeah.
Hey, let me ask you something, Brent. Where's Clarksburg in relation to Morgantown? That's where my cousin went there for 2 years. Had a great time up there.
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes south. Originally, I'm from Arkansas. I'm from Hot Springs.
What brought you to Clarksburg, man? Just your job?
Yeah, I'm up here working.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, man, enjoy your night. Morgantown is a bucket list college football weekend for me, so maybe I'll get a chance to go up there one of these days. But we appreciate you calling in, Brent, and listening to Hog Reaction.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, buddy. All right, next caller on Hog Reaction. You're on Hog Reaction. Who's this?
This is Chris.
Hey, Chris, where are you calling from, buddy?
Cleveland.
Cleveland. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed that after the second half, we went into the 4-3 defense, and they really ran the score up on us. I wonder if we stayed in the 3-4, it would have helped us out a little bit better. I ain't up to listen.
All right, Chris, I appreciate the call. It was just a difficult, like Barry Odom, whatever he did tonight, he tried blitzes, which you haven't seen a lot. He tried the he was playing like 3-4, 3-3. I mean, he was throwing all these different dime, nickel, like he was trying everything tonight. Just wasn't working. Just wasn't working. Kellen Mond was on fire. I can't remember which caller brought that up, and then you just couldn't stop Isaiah Spiller and put some respect on his name, Anias Smith. It was unbelievable night. All right, about 15 minutes here into Hog Reaction. 30 seconds. If I don't get a call in the next 30 seconds, the program is over. So I need someone to call in. If you want this program to continue, you got to call in at 877-377-6963. Perry texted in. He says, there's a huge man with a pasty white max. I guess Jason is behind me with a sharp knife. So the only person I hope is in this building is good old Mason Choate. But as far as that goes, just text Clay, the score prediction. I'm saying 38-27 Arkansas next week. It gets Tennessee. That's what I got. All right, we got 10 seconds. Don't get a caller in the next 10 seconds. Hog Reaction is done for tonight. So we're going to do a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7. And again, the number is 877-377-6963. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. That's it. That's going to do it. All right. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for putting up with my ridiculous garb, my Thunder Buddies Ted outfit onesie. That's going to do it for us on Hog Reaction. Again, Morning Rush, 6 a.m. Monday. Me, Tommy Kraft, locked and loaded, not only on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, but also ESPN Arkansas, hitthatline.com, and ESPN 99.5. We got one more caller. All right. I'm not gonna be a man of my word. I'm gonna go to that caller. All right, you're on the Morning Rush. Who's this?
Morning Rush.
You're on the Morning Rush. Who's this? All right. They hung up. That's gonna do it. All right, everyone, have a fantastic night. Be safe on Halloween. If you've been drinking, make sure you get a ride, Uber, Lyft, or make sure that your loved one, whoever's not been drinking, you have a designated driver. That's going to do it for us here on Hog Reaction. Again,